So I've made it through to day number 32, can you believe it? Whichever way you want to measure it, we're now officially beyond the 1 month mark. So today I want to take the opportunity to list the top 4 lessons that I've learned in my first month of posting a podcast episode every single day. Hello there, Paul Heron, and welcome to the From Zero to Marketing Hero podcast. This podcast series is my personal challenge to myself to show up every day, produce, create, post a podcast episode a day for 12 months, all in the hope that I can finally get my head around some of these marketing strategies that are going to enable me to bring my perfect, ideal, dream client into my world on my terms. So 32 days down, and so much has happened over that time. It's even a little bit difficult to try and think back a month to before I started. I know that there was nervousness around whether I actually had it in me to be able to show up every day and put an episode out a day. It really was a challenge that brought with it mixed emotions, I guess. There was a sense of excitement about making this commitment and just jumping in the deep end. But there was part of me that was a little nervous, if I'm to be honest, about the additional workload and how it would come together and what it would even look like. As I've gone through this process, I think my initial plan was 5 to 10 minute episodes predominantly. One challenge I've had to overcome is that I think I've got so much that I want to contribute and say. The average time has been, I think, about 12 or 13 minutes, which has been fantastic, but it's an extra element for me to think about in terms of the total time I'm taking producing these episodes. But I digress a little bit. There have been many small lessons that I've learned along the way. So many, too many to even count. But today, really, I wanted to highlight the big lessons, the big takeaways that I have taken from this first month of showing up every day and creating and posting and doing this podcast. And that leads me nicely into the very first powerful lesson that I want to note, and probably the most important. And that really is that you will never hit your ultimate goals unless you get started. Getting my head around marketing has been something that I've put into the too hard basket for the better part of 5 years. I've dabbled in understanding bits and pieces along the way. I've even tried different things, but I never really genuinely made that commitment to myself to jump in the deep end until 1 month ago. Over the last month, I have proven to myself that I have everything that I need to be able to show up and do this. And that's huge. I've spoken to some of the resistance that I've felt about truly jumping in the deep end and putting myself out there to the world. And now I know with a high level of certainty that I have what it takes to show up and do this every day. And better yet, here I am now a month down the road, 1 month's worth of actions and lessons. And now I am here being able to describe and point out the biggest lessons that I've learned over this period. I'm only able to even let you know what the following lessons are going to be through going through this process of turning up every day. So lesson number 1 is you can't achieve any level of mastery in any field without making that commitment to just show up as the beginner and get started. Now, I've spoken about my goals and my dreams, about understanding my dream customer at that next level, finding ways to be able to create products and offers that really get to the core of solving their specific problems and starting powerful conversations with that ideal client of mine. You know, that is my ultimate goal. And that's part of the reason why I have decided to show up every day and do this. But the second powerful lesson that I've learned over the last month is that this understanding and the conversations that I would love to be starting aren't going to come from just showing up alone. Now, me just showing up over the last month has created some wonderful conversations. I've reconnected with quite a few people that I hadn't connected with for a while, which is fantastic. But if I'm truly honest with myself, I know that I am just getting started with this. I know that there is so much more work to do in terms of understanding the relationship between what my perfect client is having challenges with, finding ways to be able to provide meaningful solutions to help them solve those problems, creating a message to get the word out in front of that ideal client, and to have them develop enough trust to start these conversations. There is so much more work to go. It's going to take more than just showing up. It's going to take showing up with a plan, and it's going to take showing up on purpose, taking actions in line with that plan. So the second powerful lesson for me that I take from the last month is showing up is fantastic and getting started is fantastic. But now it's time to take things to the next level and think through how I can show up in more strategic, on purpose ways. And that brings me to the third powerful lesson that I've been able to take from the last month. And that simply is that I'm only going to be able to improve what I'm able to measure. Up to this point, it has been quite random. I've tried various different things, but as I've mentioned in previous episodes this week, I currently don't have any systems or processes in place to measure what's working and to measure the success of my efforts. And this is huge. This is another element that just was not on my mind a month ago. And it couldn't have been on my mind a month ago. A month ago, it was all about just getting started and trying to predict what might occur or what might happen. Now I've got a month's worth of information, but what's become clear is I don't really have a way of organizing that information into anything that actually makes sense and enables me to make decisions about what I do next. And this one is a bit funny as well because it has got me thinking very much in line with that old corporate mentality. I actually had the old acronym KPIs pop into my head for the first time in over 5 years. But I really do think this is the way that I need to be thinking. If I can be a little bit smart about the types of things I want to start to measure in the first instance, knowing that it might evolve and grow over time, I think I'll be in a better position to start making healthy, good quality decisions about my next moves. So the third powerful lesson is that we can only improve what we're able to measure. And I guess all this culminates in the fourth and final powerful lesson that I've been able to take from the last month. And that is a continuation of the last step in some ways, but it is to develop and start implementing a first draft of my own marketing plan. As I mentioned earlier, this last month has very much been about just getting started. There wasn't really any plan at all beyond that. There was to try and find some balance between my existing business and showing up and recording and posting a podcast every day. And I have proven to myself over the last month that I am well able to stick to this commitment and show up and regularly do this thing, which is fantastic and a fantastic takeaway for the month. But to really take this to the next level, I think I want to have a bit of a think about what the next iteration of this will look like, what my marketing plan is for month number 2, to have a think through why I am doing the things I'm doing, to understand with a bit more clarity where this podcast fits into the marketing plan, for example, to have a think about how I can start growing a little bit more awareness to the project, and to go about this next phase with a little bit more focus on developing those very first repeatable processes. And this is super important because point number 3 was that I can only improve what I can measure. But to be able to accurately measure anything, we want to have regular and repeatable and reliable inputs. So I think these 2 points really do go hand in hand. So there you have it. They're my top 4 takeaways from my first month of tackling this Podcast Today challenge. I now know that I do have it in me to be able to show up every day. I know that the ultimate goal that I'm looking to create is going to take more than just showing up every day. I now know that I'm only going to be able to improve what I can measure. And with that in mind, I need to develop a first draft or first iteration of a marketing strategy or a marketing plan. And I need to just get started taking action in line with that plan. And with all that said and done, I'm more excited than ever to take this next step. I've got a few thoughts in my mind about what that plan might look like. And make sure you tune in tomorrow because this is still very much on my mind. And in tomorrow's episode, I do want to spend a bit of time outlining what that next plan looks like. So I'll leave it there for today. I hope this has provided some value. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback and any questions that you may have. So head on over to my website. It's paulheronlifecoaching.com. You can reach out to me personally there. There's a link to join a Facebook group, which is the perfect place to start these conversations. And if you think you've got value to add by coming onto the show as a guest, there's a link there that you can follow to initiate that process as well. So I hope you all have a fantastic day. And until tomorrow, bye for now.